Good evening and welcome to 5 Day with Jay. I am your host, J.R. Murdock. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you this evening? So glad you're here. Tomorrow is the day. Today is May 4th. May the 4th be with you, as everyone is saying. Tomorrow's May 5th, the day we begin releasing content at a crazy aggressive pace. Way back when I started writing, one of my first bio paragraphs I wrote was that I write crazy fast. And at the time I was writing very fast. I wrote, as I've said before, 100 plus, almost 200 short stories over the course of probably 3 years. I wrote 4 or 5 books in that time. I was writing quickly and I was having a great time. My entire plan was to just start cranking out the content, just start pumping everything out. Fell down on the job, as I've repeated myself many times. That's all in the past. That's all behind me now. It's now all about moving forward and getting this ball rolling. First step is dropping Giant Robot Planetary Competition Book 2, Villain, tomorrow. It's actually live right now. For those that are listening, if you're listening on Tuesday evening, the book is live. You can go get it right now. I will be dropping this episode. I will be sending out an email to the mailing group, to the newsletter. I will be posting it on the blog. I will be sharing links everywhere. I will be updating the websites. We're going to get word out as quickly as possible. Again, my expectations are low. My expectations are selling maybe a book, maybe 2. This is just my realistic expectation, honestly. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, should I go get it? Honestly, if you do, thank you. If you don't, if you want to wait until there's more books to go and read, I completely understand. I'm not expecting this book to take off like a rocket ship. It's the second book in a different series, and a lot of people still haven't gotten it together that, hey, these are multiple series that I'm releasing. One of the things I did mention is the next book will be V&A Shipping 3. That's a lie. I lied to you and I apologize. The next book will actually be Almost Superheroes Book 1, then Almost Superheroes Book 2, then V&A Shipping 3. My apologies, you have a few months to wait before V&A Shipping 3, but rest assured the book is done. And the reason I need to do that is because one of the characters in Almost Superheroes appears in V&A Shipping 3. And V&A Shipping 3 has a whole lot that takes place that if you don't read books 1 and 2 of Almost Superheroes, what happens in book 3 will make sense. You'll still be able to understand it. You don't need to read those books, but it'll build a bigger picture. And that's the whole thing, is I'm building a very large story. I'm adding on to everything that's happening by overlapping in these stories. Again, you don't need to read these ones to appreciate or understand V&A Shipping 3, but it will help expand the story. It's like watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I had a discussion with somebody yesterday. What I'm doing is similar to what the Marvel Cinematic Universe did. You had the main few characters. You had Iron Man, you had Thor, you had Captain America. Those were pretty much the main ones. Every other movie that came on, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers movies, all these extra characters came in through different movies and they began to overlap. Even Spider-Man was brought in. They just weaved a tapestry and just kept building one movie on top of the other. That's what I'm doing with these books. Probably back before the first Avengers movie, I knew that I wanted to weave all of this together. I knew that's where I wanted to go with these books. When I wrote V&A Shipping, I thought it was a one-off. I really thought it was just one book that might be a series, might be interesting, the characters are neat, might carry it on, I don't know. When I wrote Giant Planetary Competition Book 1, that's when I knew V&A Shipping, the crew had to make an appearance. Had to bring them in. And they did. And then V&A Shipping 2, we're tying it back to Giant Robot Planetary Competition. So those 3 books are already tied together. Almost Superheroes, books 1 and 2, really are separate, but will build into the bigger story. They build a completely different tapestry that is what will be taking place later on in the series, especially when we get to the military sci-fi series. That's going to be very fascinating to build upon. I'm anxious to start working on it, and the more I start seeing what Marvel is doing and what they're coming up with in the future releases, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, I was already planning on going there. This is amazing that my path is following that. Maybe it's because I read so many Marvel comics as a kid, I don't know. The characters are completely different than anything you'll find in a Marvel comic. The characters are doing things very differently. All I'm saying is the tapestry they're weaving and how there are things happening outside of the story that they just touch on. That's what I'm doing with the books. That's what I'm doing with these books, and building them up to be something bigger, to be something better. I want it to be far more interesting when you go back and you read these books and go, hold on a second, wait. What did he do back here? And follow that one little thread along. That's the kind of stuff that I'm having fun playing with these stories, with the books. It's incredibly fun, and it's liberating to start getting them out there again instead of just having it all built up in my head. And that's one of the problems I've always had, is I've had it built up in my head so big for so long that I will never be happy with the books that I produce. That's on me. That's for me to deal with. I know the stories need to get written and get out there. That's what I can do for my readership. Let me also say this at this time. To everyone who has reached out and said, attaboy, go get them, we're behind you. Thank you so much for the support, for the emails, for the comments on the blogs, for the comments on the YouTube videos. Thank you to everyone. Also, be aware that if you need to find any of my content, go to jrmurdock.com. The link is in the show notes, in the YouTube videos. The link is in the show notes of the Spotify audio versions. Everything is on my blog. Any way to contact me, find my books, find me on social media in any fashion, it's all out there on the blog. Go find me. It's all there. If you want to start reading the V&A shipping series and you're like, well, I don't want to commit $2.99, $3. You know what? If $3 is tight for you, I understand. I understand what's been happening in this past year. I will send you V&A shipping, book 1, absolutely free. If you review the book and say, hey, Jay, I reviewed your book, I'll send you book 2. Review that one, I'll send you the next book. I'll send you Giant Robot Planetary Competition, book 1. If you want to read and review my books, I'll send them to you for free. Absolutely no obligation once I send it to you. If you don't review it, if you didn't enjoy it, I completely understand. If you would like to be a beta reader and say, hey, Jay, I'd like to read your books ahead of time. I'm caught up. You know what? I'll send you books. I'll send you content to keep you busy for a while. Trust me. I've got a lot of books, and they're not short books. That's one of the things I've been looking at with a lot of the books that I used to read way back in the day, like the Tarzan books, the John Carter of Mars books. They were 100 to 150 pages at most. Now I sit down and I read a book. It's 1,000 pages, 750, 800 pages. I'm reading some thick novels, and I'm having fun doing it. I'm reading some Brandon Sanderson on ebook right now, and it's, one chapter. They just seem to keep going. I kind of want to get back into Game of Thrones because I read the first couple of books, and I honestly didn't care for George R.R. Martin's writing. I enjoyed the show a lot better, and I think it was because there's so many characters to keep track of. That's going to be an issue with my books that I'm working on. Every book, every series has its own cast. The V&A shipping crew. You have the Giant Robot Planetary Competition crew. You have the Almost Superheroes team. You'll have the military sci-fi series. And all of them are weaving together. That's going to be a challenge for the readers, and I understand that. I'm hopefully laying it out very easily for readers to absorb without going too deeply into certain things. That said, I'd love feedback. Am I going deep enough? Should I go deeper? Where should we go with this? At any rate, I've got many things to go take care of and get ready for tomorrow. This has been 5 a Day with Jay. I have been Jay. You have been awesome. Until next time, don't forget, link in the show notes. Be a link for the book.